the start of this war, the death toll climbing over 1,400. Right now, joining me via Zoom, I'm joined with Dr. Debra Gershov West, the director of the emergency department at Samson Ashdod University Hospital in Ashdod. Dr. Debra, thank you so much for joining us. The scenes and the horror stories that we've heard come out of these hospitals, doctors, nurses, volunteers, all working around the clock. Give us a feel of what it's like in the hospital system in Israel right now.
So at the moment, there's actually the quiet before the storm. At the moment, most of the seriously wounded came in with the first few days, and now they're now being treated on the wards. It was the first few days that were really, really hectic, and now we're just getting ready and preparing ourselves for the next wave. We saw very seriously wounded patients. These were all high energy injuries, gunshot wounds and blast wounds and a lot of shrapnel wounds. The patients came in huge waves, in huge numbers at the same time, and each one of them was in a life-threatening situation that if they had waited another half an hour, another 45 minutes, and then they wouldn't have made it. Alongside their horrific injuries was their horrific stories. And what was something that we've never seen before was that the patients came in, especially the soldiers and the security forces, they weren't worried about themselves. Like normally they say, oh, thank God I'm here and I'm being looked after, if they could awake enough to talk, or you see the relief that they're in good hands. But in this situation, they were just desperate to get back. They were like, leave me, I want to get back. I want to go back to the field. I think all my friends are dead. Everybody around me was dead. And so they came along with the physical trauma. They came with this horrific emotional trauma from the sites that they had witnessed and been part of.
Well, and it's truly heartbreaking to hear these stories, everything that's happening, treating soldiers. But on the other hand, we're hearing specifically Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv under fire for treating terrorists, Hamas terrorists. Now, I can imagine how a doctor makes that decision. On the one hand, you have the duty to save lives, but to save the life of a terrorist who brutally murdered, raped, kidnapped your own people. What is this decision that doctors are grappling with?
Up until 10 days ago, I would have quoted to you the Hippocratic Oath, and I would have said to you, we're doctors and we treat everybody. And I can still quote to you the Hippocratic Oath, but I can tell you on national television, international television, that I don't want to treat the terrorists from Hamas. The terrorists from Hamas, I'm not talking about Arabs, I'm talking about the terrorists from Hamas, who, as you said, brutally murdered and mutilated men, women and children in their houses. We have actually been given not an order, but a recommendation, maybe even stronger than a recommendation from the Health Ministry, that we don't have to treat the terrorists. It's a real dilemma, and as I said, we've never had that before, never ever. I've been a doctor for over 30 years, and if you ever ask me, I would say I'm a doctor. I will treat the patients and I will treat the terrorists, but we have never found ourselves in a situation of such atrocities and such bestiality that we've seen now with the Hamas. And no, I'll be very clear. I'm not going to treat a terrorist. We're not going to treat terrorists in our hospital.
Well, and it's certainly posing an emotional toll. I can hear just from your voice. There's an emotional toll on the families of all of the staff, treating friends who their loved ones impacted, loved ones murdered. All of you continuing to give the best care while rockets also fly overhead. How is that impacting the doctors and the nurses that you're working with?
So we're fighting, we're working under fire, we're under missile attack, but that's not new for us, unfortunately. Where we are, we're 25 kilometres from the northern border of Gaza. So this is at least the 6th or 7th time we've been under missile attack. So unfortunately, we're used to that. But just think what it means. It means we're under attack, we're being fired at. We know that our family members are now inside their sealed rooms and they're being fired at. We don't know if they're safe. Many of our staff lives down south in the kibbutzim and in the moshavim that are around Gaza. We had a doctor who 24 hours was trapped in a sealed room with her 1.5-year-old daughter, while her husband was going around to the neighbouring houses trying to save people who were being injured. Her husband's a paramedic and she's a doctor. We've had a lot of our staff is now living in hotels because their houses from the Yishuvim or from the Sderot, and their houses have been destroyed or it's unsafe to go back. Every single member of the staff knows somebody, if it's a close friend or a family member, who's been brutally murdered. And along with this emotional turmoil, we just have to get through the next hour and the next hour, and have a constant vigilance. So as I said before, you asked how it is now. The wounded that happened most of it happened in the first day, in the first 24, 36 hours. So now the wounded are in the wards, and the emergency departments throughout the country are quite quiet because people are staying at home. The whole country is shut down. But we are absolutely feeling like it's a calm before the storm. We are preparing ourselves constantly. We're training ourselves up. We're learning from the injuries that we saw before.